The male loneliness epidemic, has that been socially engineered to make boys no longer have a reason to value their lives so that they're more likely to give them up or risk them to join armies to protect countries for some old, unfit, lazy twat up top? Have their lives been degraded down to what they are now? Have they been torn apart from women? Have women been torn apart from men? Have we all been turned against each other in order to reduce the value of freedom?
Okay, so no, that's not a conspiracy theory. That is literally just the patriarchy. Everything Jamila just said literally describes the patriarchy. Interesting to me that a lot of women think of the patriarchy as just the oppression of women, when the patriarchy also very clearly has an extremely negative effect on men. And that's intentional too. It's because it's extracting something from them as well. Okay, the way that we define power in the world is really just very much sociopathy. And because the sociopaths have the power and the control of resources, they've made sure that we view land ownership, colonization, resource hoarding, violence, all of those things, not as traits to be eliminated, but as values to live by. That's the patriarchy. And it actually gets some of its early start and overlap with religion, specifically the Judeo-Christian, colonial and war glorifying type of religion. Because I actually dare you to think of a bigger sociopath than God. Guys, literally like, I will have what I want at any cost. Yeah, the Christian God is definitely in the dark triad, and I don't have time to mess around with green screen right now. Let me tilt this down so I can put a series of images somewhere here for y'all to look at and compare. Because what's being discussed in that first video is really just our past, present, and future. It is the patriarchy. While the patriarchy extracts labor out of women, what it needs to extract from men is obedience and submission. And I've talked about this before. This is why men are so fixated on like submissive women and stuff like that. That is how they are taught to operate. It's like literally in the definition of masculinity and what most men would consider the word alpha, whatever they think that means. Impulsive, attracted to danger. I really think that Mad Max, intentionally or unintentionally, basically turned out to be the perfect illustration of how patriarchy is always going to end. Like, we are heading towards this place right now, right? You have this strong man leader who is decrepit but is just covering it up. Like I'm actually amazed at how well and how prescient this film was. Like, people own nothing and they're happy, right? Just like the World Economic Forum keeps telling us. People are gathering around for water, like a rare occasion, and they're being told to not get addicted to it by people who have access to unlimited amounts of it. They're just hoarding and withholding it just to oppress people, to like display that power, that dominance, that conquest, right? It's like there's no point of doing this other than to instill fear in everybody. My conspiracy theory is that like people can see into the future when they make art. Men are always being groomed to be war boys, and religion always gets involved too. Like in Mad Max, they were like for Valhalla, right? In the Bible times, they were like for Yahweh, we're conquering all these lands for God. And it's like, no, you're conquering them for an old decrepit sociopath. That's what it is. And we're all suffering from it because these sociopaths have figured out a language that really appeals to men. Because yes, all they have to do is pit them against women and tell them that they're better and stronger and that's why they deserve to fight in wars. Like, that's all the things that men say they contribute to society are actually contributing to colonization and the destruction of our earth. We work on oil rigs and we built, like, yeah, good job. Now we're all gonna die fighting for water. Good job. Oh, men fight in wars. Yeah, good job. You're killing a bunch of children. And that's what you have to understand too, is like most of the time, it's not grown men that are going to war. It's literally boys. Like, I grew up in Ukraine. I grew up reading about these kids. And when I tell you that they are grooming literal children into this because grown men are not be like, yeah, I'll go die in a war because some other dude told me to. Like, you wise up to it. The same reason that they enlist men in the army at exactly like 18 years old, you know, as soon as they can, is the same reason that they want women to get married off at that same age. When everyone's talking about women need to be getting married instead of going to school, etc. It's because when people are too smart, they start figuring this shit out. But yeah, it really is. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is what the patriarchy has always been. It's never been about men versus women. It's always been about resources for the wealthy. What they're really doing is just teaching us to respond to different stimuli. They're teaching us the opposite of cooperation. They're teaching us competition and extraction. That's the patriarchy. Absolutely no offense to anybody, but this is feminism 101. You actually need to understand this because otherwise you will be fighting a pointless battle. If you think this is about men versus women, you are very, very, very wrong. This is all about control. The patriarchy is about control. The reason we call it the patriarchy is because its method of control is a hierarchy, which places men above women. That's the only part where it's like men versus women, whatever. The rest of it, we're in it together. We're all being shit on by like 5 wealthy sociopathic men at all times. At all times. And until we understand that we actually need to come together to defeat that, it's all water under the bridge. Like, it's all water under the bridge. And that's the real conspiracy theory. But that's what it's always been. And honestly, Sovereign and I talk about this on the podcast all the time, and people always get mad at us. We've always been trying to explain that it's not that simple. It's not just about men versus women. Men are not happy either. Trust me. That's the reason why they're doing what they're doing, is because they were promised something that they also didn't get. They were promised a life of like dominance, respect, servitude, and women and riches and all this stuff, and they don't have that shit either. It's playing a trick on all of us. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's the thing that's literally been under our nose for thousands of years. And those few wealthy sociopaths at the top live in absolute fear of us collectively figuring this out. I hope this helps. Godspeed, y'all. Mwah.